Joe 200, what's up? Okay, so this is the official first lecture. Okay, I already sent out the how to get an A lecture, and really it's more about how to navigate this course. And so this is how we're going to go. This is the drill. All right, so I'll be sending out these lectures that will help guide you through the assignments, which are the readings and the videos, how to approach taking the quizzes, and also how to approach doing the discussions. All right. It's completely asynchronous, all right, which means you do it on your own time, okay? We have 15 weeks, okay? So we have 15 weeks worth of assignments. So anytime during that week you can get things done. You just have to calendar everything, all right? So again, of course, the first thing you should do, again, is just come down here. This is our the way we communicate. Uh, Julia sent out a really detailed introduction and was welcoming everybody back with this super cool GIF and explained things. Okay, right here. Then I sent out this how-to lecture right here yesterday. It's about 30 minutes long. So check it out. Okay, and uh, and within that how-to lecture, I explain what it is you need to do to navigate the course. Okay, right here. It's all Blackboard driven, okay? Like I said, completely asynchronous. There'll be nothing live, no live interaction. You can certainly contact us. Excuse me, had a little pretzel in my throat here. And anytime you contact us, we can have a Zoom meeting. I'm on campus Monday and Wednesdays. You can meet with me personally, outdoors, 6 feet of separation with a mask on until we do a better job of eradicating the Delta variant of the SARS-CoV-2. Okay, so that's how we're going to do this. Alrighty, so again, everything is calendared up. You should put this into your phone. Okay, and oh yeah, I got to get these writing assignments done. I'm going to have the midterms. I'm going to get it done sometime during this week, sometime between the 17th and the 24th of October, and the second midterm sometime between the 4th, November 27th and December 3rd. So you just calendar that up. These are multiple choice exams. There are 60 questions. You have 2 hours. They are a reiteration of the same questions that are offered up in the quizzes. The quizzes have 5 questions. You guys will have this thing wired, so do not worry about this, okay? We have in here a bunch of how-to folders, okay? So click on that, right? This is my old how to get an A video, okay? So I'm going to be putting that in there, all right? How to use Turnitin, how to avoid plagiarism, how to post in discussion boards, okay? Right here, okay? What to do if you just added GERO 200, okay? Blackboard help right there, okay? How to look at your old quizzes, all right? So this explains everything right here. You go into your My Grades page, just click on the number, boom, takes you into the quiz. And if you get sick during the semester, okay, obviously this is a very volatile time. This tells you exactly what you need to do there, all right? So I'm going to be changing this out, but it's really the same drill, okay? Look, I'm still wearing the same New Orleans Saints t-shirt when for the summer session that I wore yesterday, which is pretty classic. Who dat? All right, very cool. All right, so that's an important section, the how-to. All right, let's go into the weekly assignments now. All right, so we got some questions. Hey, when are you going to open things up? Okay, if you as of tomorrow, every single quiz and every single discussion will be opened up. You can work, ahead of the pace that we set here. Just remember they do close. So this one says, it's due August 30th, and then it's going to close. This is this week's assignment. Next week, it'll close September 6th, okay? You can work ahead. You can work ahead. You can work ahead on all of these, okay? It will close, all right? So don't fall behind. That's the bottom line there, all right? So I'm going to go in here to week 2 right here just to illustrate, all right? So my video, just like this one for week 2, is going to go right here, okay? I would click on the reading and do the second part right here. As you can see, the quizzes and the discussions have not opened, okay? However, we modified week 1. I'm going back to my browser here. Click right there. Again, we're in student view right here. Here's my how-to lecture, okay? It's everywhere. There's the assignments, okay? So you're going to click on this and go, and we want you to do the forward through trend 5. I'm going to go through with that real quickly. Hey, there it is. There's the quiz and there's the discussion, all right? All right, so that's how that works, all righty? Very cool, okay? So what I would do, okay, so let's just jump right into it. If I was you, okay, I would click the reading quiz, okay, all righty? I would hit begin, all right? There are my quiz questions, all right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up the class again. In my browser here. Here it is. Boom. And now I'm going to go back into this weekly section right here. So we have the quiz open for week 1. And then I'm going to come over here. All right. And I'm going to go in here. And I'll listen to Dr. Walsh. The video is going to be right here. But more importantly, I'm going to go ahead and open the article. Okay. So I'm going to open this thing up right here, and there's our reading, okay? What did they want me to do? They want me to do the forward through trend 5, okay? All right, so that's it. So when we look at these quiz questions, there's only 5 multiple choice questions, all right? You can do this together as a team. You know, maybe that's a better way for learning for you. That's okay. Nobody's going to get the same 5 questions because we draw the quiz questions from a pool of 25 to 30 questions. You may get 1 or 2 similar. It's just random. Okay, awesome. Okay, so non-communicable or chronic diseases such as heart disease, cancer, diabetes account for what percentage of the disease burden for the over 60 population in all countries? This is what I would do. I'd read that. Okay, kind of put it up into my register. What country will experience the most striking increase on a percentile base of its old population by 2030? All right, so that's in the readings right there. Okay, today's global population over the age of 65 accounts for what percentage of the population? Okay, and on and on and on and on. Okay, all right. So you just kind of read through those. Okay, and then you go right in here. All right, and you go into the readings. All right. So let's kind of conceptualize what's going on. So this was again, this is a huge report that was done. This is a government report. Okay, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Okay. There's a branch of this, okay? So we see the U.S. Department of State, okay? People specialize in looking at the impact of aging, not only in our country, but globally. That's the National Institute of Aging. These are all subsidiaries of our government. They are line items funded by your tax dollars, okay? And so when we look at this, there's going to be a new one coming out, hopefully soon, all right? But this study took a lot of data analysis and collaboration between scientists all around the world. Okay, and so we're going to do forward through trend 5 right here. Okay, and we scroll down here, and so this study, okay, was done a while back, but again, we're hoping to get a much more recent one soon. Okay, all right, so let's look at the forward. Okay, so obviously people are living longer. Okay, in most parts of the world. Okay, and if they're lucky, they're living very long-lived, healthy lives. Okay, we're going to talk about blue zones later on, and in the importance of diet and exercise. Okay, and how that really does make for not only longevity, but it adds more life to years, so to speak. Okay, so you have a very happy, healthy life. Okay. So this is a crowning achievement, and you'll see this over and over again here, okay? Crowning achievement of public health, okay? So we've heard a lot about public health with the Rona, okay? And public health is like wear a mask, all right? Pretty straightforward. Public health is, hey, get vaccinated, all right? Public health is stop smoking to avoid heart disease, okay? Public health is exercise, okay? And eat the Mediterranean diet to reduce your risk of what we're going to talk about, these chronic non-communicable, which means it's not an infectious disease, chronic diseases of aging. So if you eat right and you exercise, you're going to reduce your risk of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, on and on. Okay, so this is what public health tells us. Just like public health told us, you know what, you wear a helmet, you reduce your risk of having a head injury when you eat crap riding a motorcycle. Okay, you wear a seatbelt, and it reduces the risk of having severe injuries when you get in an automobile accident. So these are all things. How about a car seat for children so they don't go out through the windshield when you hit the brakes? Okay, so this is all public health, right? All right, super important. All right, all righty. So this is a global thing that we're looking at here, because you guys are going to get part of the global economy. You're going to take your expertise from this course, and boom, you're going to go make tons of money, be an advisor, say, for Indonesia when you're surfing macaronis or something like that, right? All right. So so we're looking at the global burden of disease, right? So again, this was a big study. The World Health Organization, the World Bank, which is a big, giant data facility, okay? And it was again supported by our federal government right here. All right. So what we're going to see, okay, is a huge increase in disability caused by increases in chronic diseases of aging. All right. So what's an example of, excuse me, of a disability? Okay. A chronic disease of aging is vascular disease that can cause a heart attack. Okay. That's disabling, all right? And you will be a financial burden to not only your family, but our government when you're in rehab. Same thing if you have the disease that has the most significant what's called morbidity, okay? And that would be a stroke, okay? And then you basically are in line for support from your family and from the government and insurance for the rest of your life, all right? All right, so this is what we're talking about when we're talking about disability, all righty? I mentioned the diseases: cardiovascular disease, dementia, Alzheimer's, cancer, arthritis, diabetes, all this, okay? These are not something that you contract from somebody else. They're not communicable, okay? An infectious disease is communicable, okay? All right. So, all right. So we have, significant population aging, okay? But a lot of countries, especially that are, we call them non-westernized developing countries, okay? Countries like Chile, okay? Countries like Indonesia, okay? Sudan, all these countries worldwide, okay? They are just grappling with the moment, okay? And they haven't really projected into the future and fully appreciated what's going to happen when they start reducing the risk of these communicable diseases. They start getting hygiene in order, start getting vaccinated, all these kind of things that we take for granted. Next thing you know, they start pushing the envelope and they start having an aging population that's going to start suffering from these other diseases that we were talking about, like diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. Okay. Alrighty. So this report is just really giving this compelling picture, okay, of what's going to happen to nations all around the country, okay? And we really just want you guys to start talking about this. Talk amongst yourselves. When you go to parties out there in the road, start talking about this stuff, okay? It's a dialogue. If you're an investor, you're investing in biomedical corporations, okay, that maybe are going to ease this burden, right? We're going to look at the economic impact on you as an individual. If you have a parent who's suddenly disabled, that's a burden. We're going to look at this at the social level, okay? Whether through volunteerism, helping out people, or social level at the level of government support that you again are going to have to pay for. Okay, so there's huge economic issues. All right, it's going to impact you in terms of your family. Okay, and so you're going to have to plan for all this. That's what this is all about. Okay, all right. So we see this dramatic shift. All right, so this study was put together, finalized in about 2010 in that range, and so they were gathering data from up to that, up before that. So there were about 500 million people worldwide that were 65 or older. And when you're doing this type of survey analysis, and you're drawing from databases on demography, and demography is just looking at age numbers, and then we're looking at disease. That's epidemiology. It's a kind of a wing of demography. You have to have the benchmarks that you're looking at. So you define your data collection cohorts, and so they're looking at people that are 65 and older, and we see in 2006 there are 500 million people. Okay, projection that it will double to 1 billion. Okay, by 2030. Okay, all righty. All right. So when we look at this, okay, the biggest change that can happen in terms of public health is in these developing countries, and so they're going to see the biggest shift, okay, by 2030, and they're really not ready for it. And that's really the big point of this. Okay, all righty. So this is going to put a huge strain on things like social insurance. Okay, so we call our Social Security here in our country, in terms of medical, it's called Medicare. All right, and again, it's not a bank. Okay, that's earning interest. Okay, it's this you and I, as we work, our paychecks are taxed. Okay, so you have Social Security and Medicare tax. It then goes into the government and it disseminates it immediately out to the people that need it. Okay, if you have fewer and fewer workers but more and more older people, you can do the math on that. Okay, that means that we're going to have to raise your Social Security tax and your Medicare tax to give the resources to the people that need it. And so people worldwide are grappling for this, especially in these developed countries where they had really amazing social insurance benefits. Okay, countries like France and Italy, and Switzerland, Spain, where people retired early, they had government pensions, and now guess what? There's not enough workers, and so they're having to raise taxes. Okay, so that's just an example. Okay, so as we look in, again, I'm not going to go through all this word by word with you. Okay, but we know the overall population worldwide is aging. Okay, life expectancy is increasing. Okay, and you make projections on this. Our country actually had a drop in life expectancy. Okay, so you look at anybody that was born in a range that you defined in your study. We had a drop in life expectancy the last couple of years because of the opioid epidemic crisis, and then we had a drop in life expectancy recently because of the disease that you get when you get the coronavirus, which is called COVID-19. All right, so for the most part, life expectancy is increasing, okay, because of the scientific strides that we make, okay? So if life expectancy increases, then you can then, in your analysis, see that the number of oldest old are rising. So we see a lot more 85-year-olds, a lot more centenarians, okay? When we look at the big issues in terms of national economics, it's and again, the financial burden. Okay, so I know a lot of you guys are business majors and econ majors. It's these non-communicable diseases of heart disease, diabetes, which is related to heart disease, as you guys will find out, Alzheimer's disease, okay, cancer, stroke, arthritis, okay, all these things, that I become more and more at risk for as I get older, okay. Alrighty, what else is happening? Okay, in certain countries, these older developed countries, okay, European Union countries, we are going to see that there is actually a shrinking in the population of the next decades. There's a higher percentage of older people. We are finding that younger people are less likely to have children. That's the fertility. So the replacement rate is going down, okay? And the balance in terms of society is shifting so that we're seeing fewer and fewer people. In certain countries, like Japan, people stopped having children at a replacement rate many years ago. So they're seeing population declines. That impacts the workforce. All right, you have less people coming through the system. If you don't make babies, you have less people that can get out there and work. Same thing happened in Russia, because Russia is a pretty, you know, forbidding place. It's cold. It's kind of crazy there at times, and so what happened is people left Russia as much as they can. People are not having kids. The older population is going there, and so they're having to all deal with this economic transition. Okay. Um, and if people live longer and you have fewer children around, that means the caregiver responsibility is put on fewer individual shoulders. So we're seeing this family structure changing. People are living longer. Okay, you're going to have oftentimes multiple generations alive at the same time. Okay, so you might have your children, your parents, your grandparents, all live at the same time, and maybe you, because of the economic situation, you're all living in the same household. All right. Um, because of the financial constraints that's happening, and the fact that social support systems don't really provide enough money, resources to cover life expenses in a lot of countries. For example, our country, Social Security doesn't even come close. Okay, and so patterns of work and retirement are going to shift. People like myself are going to work a lot longer. Okay, we do see this shrinking ratio, like I said, of workers to pensioners. Okay, so people are spending a lot more proportion in retirement because we live longer. Okay, even though I might work longer, I'm going to live longer, and that's going to strain this pension system that we call Social Security. And we look at. We'll talk later on about pensions. It's not provided by most companies anymore. The only additional pension system is government workers. And again, we have to pay for that through your tax dollars. Okay? So there's going to be an evolution of these social insurance systems. Okay? So these are big economic challenges. And I'm going to say right here, this is a window of opportunity for change. All right? So, and that's what you guys are here for. All right? It's a challenge, but it's there. Okay. So, if you wait and you don't adapt, you're going to find yourself in big trouble. All right. And that's a message that is being given not only to our country, because we've done an okay job, but not a great job. But, countries worldwide, China, Japan, Russia, all these different countries I was talking about, they, they're a little bit in trouble. Okay. So it is a triumph, like I said, of public health, medical advancement that we live so long. Okay. And that we've had this triumph over disease and injury. Okay, but there's going to be some problems that happen with life expectancy for the next hundreds and hundreds of years. Okay, so let's look at the situation here. All right, we're going to have adjustments. Okay, they're going to be painful. All right. In terms of retirement, so we see on track to get the full allotment of your Social Security, the official retirement age to get 100% of your Social Security is being moved to an older age. All right. So this is painful. Not everybody wants to keep working. Okay. Things like medical benefits. Okay. Potentially will be shifted out. So you'll have to pay for your own insurance, okay, until you become eligible for Medicare. So these are, again, not popular decisions, but it's something that you have to think about, okay? So what we look at in terms of the government, and then there can be this whole political divide and debate about, the red versus the blue, the Democrat versus the Republicans. Less government, okay, means it's up to you as an individual, okay, all right, and so greater expectations are for you to save money, okay, so we're going to train you to be financial planners in this class as well, all right. Here's an example, okay, and this is your second critical thinking assignment right here, okay. So And you should already start saving right now. We're going to explain to you about setting up individual retirement accounts, okay? Um, and if you're a 40-year-old worker and you haven't saved a penny, okay? So then you decide, you know what, I finally got a good job. I'm going to put $10,000 away, okay? Um, and in 30 years' time, by the time you're 70, okay, and with a 5% return on your investment, which is unheard of, you know, we've been percolating around between 8 and 10%, okay, for years, okay. We'll see how that plays out in your critical thinking assignment. You'll see how much your money grows, okay. Um, but even then, $700,000, okay, right there, all right. Now, if you'd started saving when you were 30, okay, like you guys will be in about 8 years, all you need to do is put like close to about $5,000 out there every year into your retirement account, and you'll get the same amount, okay, which is awesome, okay, which is awesome. Now, I would say that the return on the investment is going to be even better than this. So instead of being 700,000, this thing would be closer to 1.5 million in today's world, okay. Alrighty. Cool. So what do you think about that? Okay. All right. Very cool. Sorry, my okay. So we don't want to wait. Okay, you don't want to wait as an individual, and so we're putting out this public service announcement as countries to hey, you know what? We want you to take control of your well-being. Eat better. Okay. Exercise and save. Okay. Act your wage. Okay. All right. All right, so there are big reforms that are going on, pension reforms, okay, in countries all around the world. All right, and we're gonna talk about that. Again, we're gonna look at European countries. They talk about it in this particular study. Okay, the European Union, okay, which is a number of countries all across Europe. Okay, and again, the big issue right now is you know, currently, roughly it's between 3 and 4 people, because this study's a little bit older, okay, of working age are paying for the pension of older citizens, older than the age of 65. Okay, by 2050, you can only have 2 workers, okay, because of this shift in the balance. Not enough babies being made, people living longer, okay. Somebody's going to have to pay for these people's well-being through the pension system, and it's going to be you and your tax dollars if you're living in Switzerland. Okay, same thing's happening in our country as well. All right, so we have to talk, you know, in terms of politics and policies, what the deal is with this pension system. Okay, with paying for healthcare. Okay, the costs, long-term care costs associated with the aging population. Okay, that's going to be a big deal. Okay, and what that does, that is a negative. Okay, so for your business majors, this is a negative. It subtracts from the gross domestic product, which is the balance between goods that are made, okay, and money made by all segments of the population within that country versus money being spent, sadly, for the burden of older people. All right. Alrighty, so countries are initiating change right now to reduce this burden of spending. That's what this is all about, my friends. All right, cool. All right, so we're looking at aging population. I've given you good background. Here's the transition right here, okay? So here we are at 2021, okay? It's already happening, my friends. This is the global population right here. We see right here, young and older people. Again, you just define this in your study. What does young and older mean, okay? Young being people under the age of 5 on a percentile basis worldwide, and people over the age of 65 on a percentile basis worldwide, okay? And you see, okay, back in the day, there was a lot of fertility, a lot of young people. People didn't live as long, okay? And you see there was this disproportionately larger segment of younger people compared to older people in these age groups. Look what happened, okay? All right, people started living longer, people started making less babies, less fertility, longer lived populations or longevity, and right here the transition happened. Okay, and you can see what's going to happen all the way out here to 2050, and again, these guys are going to be supporting these guys well into your older age. Okay, now the dialogue here, okay, you can read through this, okay, find answers to your questions in terms of your quizzes, okay. We can see that a lot of countries, this happened a long time ago in terms of the speed of population aging. Again, if you're a demographer, you just have to come up with a data analysis cohort. Okay, this is what I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at a doubling, okay, of the percentage of people that are 65 and older. When did it go from 70%, 7%, oops, sorry, to 14%? Evidently, I cannot grab just that. But when did that happen? 7 to 14%, okay? All right, so you see that France had a long time to figure this out, all right? It happened from 1865 to 1980. So they started aging a long time ago. Sweden, the same drill, Australia, okay? It happened in the US from 44 to 2013, okay? And again, this is just a benchmark, okay? There are other ways to look at this, okay? These are all developed countries. Boom, boom, boom. It took 115 years for France. Japan had very little time. It took 26 years. That's a major social adaptation, okay? We look at the future, okay? These are developing countries, okay? And again, there you see that a lot of these countries, including us, we had a long time to adapt. These countries don't have the infrastructure. It's happening real quickly, and they're not ready, okay? And so, again, over here, they just kind of look at individual examples in the reading, okay? All righty. So, why is this happening? We have two things, okay? Reduced fertility, less babies, and an increase in life expectancy, okay? This is actually an older study. Life expectancy has grown, okay, in Japan, okay? But you get the drill here. They have the highest life expectancy of any country in the world right now, okay? So when we look at these changes life expectancy, okay, these transitions that are happening, okay, we see these typical population changes or distributions, okay? So as people live longer, we tend to see less babies being made as well, okay? So there's a shift from high to low fertility, okay? So we see a steady increase in life expectancy at birth. And so you make these projections. If you were born in 2021, your life expectancy is longer than somebody that was born like me, okay, a long time ago. All righty. 56, okay, all right. And what does that mean? We see this shift, okay, that's happening from infectious diseases to, again, this non-communicable diseases, all right? All right, so we can go down here and we can look at this evolution. I love figures and see, again, in this cohort, watching what will happen to white females in the United States in terms of the evolution of survival. All right, let's look at figure 3. All right, so we can see this is what's called a survival curve, okay? It's again, we're looking at white females in the United States, 1901 to 2003. Here's the 1901 group, here's the 2003 group. How do you read this graph, okay? All righty, so basically right here, all right, so this was everybody born in 1901. This was everybody born in 2003. That's 100% of the population you're looking at, all right? All right, it's all starting to race, okay? We're out in the Coliseum, we're all standing there, and somebody shoots off the gun and we start running, okay? The race has started, all right? So we see back in 1901, by the time we got to age 10, sadly, about almost 20% people of the population that started died, okay? We see that we got rid of this infectious disease-based infant mortality by 2003, okay? And it was a gradual transition. So here you have 99.9% still alive, okay? All right, we go further out here. The race is still going. Who's living? Who's living? And if you were born in 1901, by the time you were 50 years of age, right here, we go over here, you see 40% of the population's gone. Okay, so 2003, we're still sitting here at about 95% of the population, right? That's what these survivorship curves show me. So gradual pruning of the population here. What we have is this steep cliff, okay, boom. where you get to a certain age and these non-communicable diseases of aging start taking you out, okay? All right, so this is a big burden right here, all right? This steep cliff part is a big burden, all right? And that's what that's talking about right there, okay? All right, so we can then look here, okay? And we can look at a couple different countries, okay, and these transition in life expectancies in figure 4. So let's go down here. There it is right here, okay? So again, in figure 4, what we were looking at here, figure 4 was looking again at female life expectancies, okay, from 1840 to 2000, all right? And we see that again they compare here Sweden and Japan. It's just a comparison, but you see that we come down here and we see women and men. You see women have the greater gain in life expectancy compared to men. All right, awesome, cool. What are we seeing? Okay, we are seeing what death rates, okay, are level off or decline, okay, and we see the greatest amount in the oldest age levels. There's an explosion in centenarians, okay, and we see that even at older ages, mortality rates are flexible, okay, to social intervention, so we can still push back the envelope, okay? And it's all about medical advances that increase life expenses. All right, cool. That's what that's at. So we get this rising number of older people, okay? Sadly, remember how I showed you in the figure, how right here, boom, people start getting sick and dying, okay? This is this red group right here, that was 2003. If we had a 2020, it would be going like this, okay? In terms of projection, right? All right, if everybody looked at the projection for people that were born in 2020, okay? Okay, so we have to make some transitions, some changes, some adaptations. That's what this is all about right here, okay? So we see this progression of more older and older and older people, okay? People are surviving into advanced stages, okay? All right, that's going to have some serious policy issues, okay? We're going to start, as people studying this, you're going to define these different age groups, okay? And again, the oldest population, where I showed you where the kind of fall off the cliff, okay? There's more disability requiring long-term care requires a lot of money, okay? You look at the cost of an Alzheimer's care facility for a family, it could be 100 grand a year, okay? All righty. So that consumes a lot of resources disproportionately, okay? Okay. So what are some other changes we can expect, okay? So like I said, retirement income needs to cover a longer period of life. This is why you as an individual are going to be expected to save more, because governments can't handle this. It costs too much money, okay? Healthcare costs continue to rise, especially in our country where it's not held in check, okay? So that means your premiums, okay, for health insurance until you go on to Medicare are going to be a bigger part of your personal budget. All right, we're gonna get into that at the very end of the class. Okay, like I said, you can have 3-4 generations living at the same time. Okay, and that creates a dynamic that you have to deal with on an individual level. Okay, and this oldest old group that's growing, we have to figure out what's going on. Okay, all right. So there's some numbers here. Okay, that were kind of laid out in my quiz right there. Okay, so again, this is where you just kind of go back and forth as you're reading through this. Okay, and we see right here. Okay, the biggest increase in terms of proportionate growth. Okay, we see the centenarians. There's not a lot of them, so it doesn't take as many to see this big bump in proportional growth. But you see that, again, on a percentile basis, this is where the growth is happening, okay? 85 and older, the fastest growing numerical age group, 65 older right here. And then this is you guys right there, okay? All righty. So the growing burden of, we keep talking about this non-communicable disease, and it costs a lot of money, okay? Um, we will talk about cancer in this class, okay? So this is one example right here. And just the cost of this. An example of this would be, we're going to talk about Julia's fight with cancer, my wife, where she has chronic lymphocytic leukemia. It was diagnosed about 9 years ago. And when she went into the clinical trial, because the disease progressed to the point that it was life-threatening, it was at UC San Diego. The cost the first year of treatment, 1 year of treatment, was $300,000, 300 grand. Okay, so that is a significant personal burden, economic burden. I had to transition my life, as did she, to devote ourselves to that. So that pulls you away from the workforce a bit. So there's a lot to think about in terms of the burden of a non-communicable disease, right? All righty, cool. All right, so I'm gonna jump through this, okay, and we're going to look at a comparison of, this is 2002 to 2030, okay. This would be high-income countries like ourselves, like Switzerland, like France. You see the readout here, okay. So this is the infectious disease, the communicable disease, okay. Diseases from pregnancy, maternal issues, perinatal, okay, this would be developmental issues, nutrition, so you have bad nutrition, bad hygiene, etc. You see it's a small percentage in countries like the United States, and it's an even smaller percentage going to in terms of the burden of the diseases and problems in westernized developed countries, okay? Injuries are relatively stable, right? And we see that for the most part, it's the non-communicable disease, the blue one right here, okay? All right, so we prepare accordingly, okay? We set up our hospital resources for this kind of stuff. That was impacted too in the last 2 years, people had to delay surgeries, cancer treatments, et cetera, because what happened, our hospitals got burdened by a communicable disease, all right, called COVID-19. So it was a real social study, social impact study of these two different types of diseases. All right, now we look at, again, the burden in low to middle income countries. And again, we see right here, the olive green, there's going to be a slight transition from 44 to 32% of infectious diseases, for example. That is the big economic burden. And they're going to see a growth in these non-communicable diseases that only happen as you live longer, like diabetes and cancer and Alzheimer's and arthritis and stuff like that. All right, very cool. All right, the last part, aging population. Okay, so we're in really unprecedented territory. Okay, this has never happened in our world before. Okay, so we're writing the book right now as it happens. Okay, we're seeing two things. Okay, population aging, and in some countries, population decline. We've kind of leveled off in our country. We are actually gaining more from immigration than we are from reproduction. All right. So we can look at some example countries. Okay, these are long-lived developed countries. Okay, this is South Africa right here. Okay, we see Japan. Okay, Russia. What do we see here? We see negative 18. Okay. And what that shows you, this is a projected population decline between 2006 and 2030 in millions, okay? So there's going to be an 18 million population decline in Russia during this period of time. Japan, 11 million person decline. Ukraine, 7 million, okay? Spain, 1.4, on and on and on and on, okay? All right? Okay, so that's going to have, and it's not because of people not living longer. Okay, people are living longer. We just talked about it. Old people make up a bigger part of the population. So let's look at Russia right here. Right? Let's check them out. All right. So we see here the percentage of the population. This is positive. Okay, hundreds of thousands. Okay, so here's 60, 64, on and on and on and on. You see the green is an addition. Okay, when we look at 2006 and compare it to 2030, sorry, we're going to see this addition in terms of these cohorts in the age groups. Okay, so this is demography. This is how you look at it. At the same time, you see the declines in all these age groups over here, right? Fewer young people, more older people, and that is part of the makeup of this population decline. All right, you can see this repeat itself over and over and over again. All right, so that is the overview right here. Okay, what we then will ask you to do. Okay, please get in there, my friends. Okay, so I'm going to go right back here. That's my quiz. Here we go. And don't forget to do your discussion. Okay, I introduced myself right here. In fact, I went in and did this right here. There I am. All right, so comment on my discussion. Okay, remember how you do this. Okay, you can create a thread. Okay, I've already done that. All right, and you typey right here in response to this prompt that you see right there. Check out my video. This is a promotional video of me surfing. Last week the surfing was unbelievable, guys. So big, and I'm still doing it. All right, so this is all about successful aging, which is a whole different chapter in this class. All right. So that's part one. Let's say that's part of your discussion assignment, right? You do one substantial post or substantive post, and then you want to go in there and mix it up and look at 3 other people and get their perspective and comment on theirs. It doesn't have to be enormous, but that's how that's our rubric for grading, okay, the discussion, right? So then you'd go in right here, you click right here. So this is what I had to say, okay, and then you would hit reply, you would hit, you would read my response, okay, you typety here, some type of perspective on what I had to say or somebody else had to say, you hit submit, all right, you do that 3 times. All right, guys, so that's really it. Again, communication is key. I'm going to go back to the page here. These are our associates that are going to help us with the grading, Min-Kyung Ri and Tim Liu. They've been doing it for years. Again, all email communication goes directly to Julia Walsh, and you can find out her email address in our syllabus right there. All right. Cool. All right, so it's a lot to take in, but it's all right. The reality is we're gonna be doing this over and over. You're gonna hear this so many times. You'll be able to speak this just like it'll be like you become fluent in a second language. We don't just throw this at you one time. We throw this at you over and over and over again until you get it completely figured out. All right, peace, guys. You take care, and I'll see you next week.